What is happening, YouTube? It is your boy Zach Zeiler, and today we are in fact checking in for a brand new implementation. I want to rush through this intro as fast as possible to get into this workout, but we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually showing you guys slides right now from the actual transformation program that I offer on my website. The link will be in the description. I know this is a very salesy pitch I'm giving you right now, but what we're going to do is take a workout from this transformation program. Here you see it now, sequence 1, the very first workout of the program, yet it's page 17 of I think 138 pages or so. And we're going to go through a chest and triceps session together. So what I'm hoping you guys will do is actually take a screenshot of this very first workout of the entire program. I already had that still frame up for you guys to take a screenshot of and use for reference. And I've done this specifically for you guys to have the ability to follow along throughout this video, as well as to have a reference when you go and try these types of workouts. Because I do plan on doing a couple of videos pulling from my transformation program and showing you guys some of these sessions that I've come up with and showing you guys the different aspects of training styles that I implement. Today, obviously, you should already get the gist that we are going through, and this is about control. The title of this workout is engagement, and I will go as far as to read this paragraph for all of you guys out there. So, engagement, the title of the session, and what this session requires. Feeling, engaging, contracting. Learning to connect with the very muscle that is meant to be worked at a given training session. On every press and every fly that is performed, a certain amount of mental awareness is required to truly break down the tissues of the pectorals. To see changes and to build quality, the smallest details will add up in the long run. Today, the weight will come secondary to the attention of flawless form, as well as the constant tension on the chest tissue. Movements are to be performed slowly with a full range of motion, completely controlled, testing the limits on what a single set can do. So let's get into it. Let's go through this workout and talk about the things that are occurring and why they're occurring. And I hope you guys will bear with me. If you can't already tell, my voice is absolutely gone. It is rotten right now and my throat hurts. It's difficult for me to speak and I feel like I have a lisp right now. But anyways, we're going to get right into it. We're looking at the first exercise of this chest and triceps workout. And you can't go any better than a pre-exhaust movement before getting into a compound movement. And this is the dumbbell pullover. A very neglected chest exercise indeed. And so many people have problems with their lats taking over, their triceps, fatiguing, and it all comes down to practice. It comes down to your elbow placement and how you perform the exercise. And you guys can already tell based on my normal bench pressing technique that you guys are used to that this is a different training style that I am implementing. Something that is so important that I always preach to my clients, I always preach to people that approach me in the gym, is the implementation of multiple training styles, multiple mindsets, and multiple approaches to how you go about certain exercises, how many sets you perform, reps, and that is the most important aspect of breaking through plateaus and gaining solid and quality muscle. So this is obviously a much more slow and controlled workout for me. With the dumbbell pullover, we were focused on stretching and contracting at the top, performing 5 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions with limited rest time. And that's another thing that I really need to speak about with this workout. Limited rest time. It is so important in the gym, and it's not something to neglect. To keep your chest, your triceps, whatever you are training, engaged constantly, and to further your breakdown with shorter rest periods of not playing on your phone, not having conversations in the gym, and sacrificing your time completely to training the muscles that you're working. You guys know I'm an ego lifter. I love to lift heavy. And for me to do these types of workouts from time to time, it can be frustrating and difficult to not even throw 225 pounds on the bar, let alone 275 or try to max out on the bench. It's very difficult, and you cannot have an ego about yourself. You have to leave your ego at the door and really focus on getting a pump, contracting, and reaching full fatigue. And weight is just a number. It is nothing more than a tool. And your body has no idea how much weight you're lifting. Your mind may, but your body does not when it comes to breaking down the tissue. And that's an important aspect to remember. So with these exercises, 2 pressing movements leading into this incline movement, um, I normally and typically recommend using like a 45-degree incline, especially with like dumbbell presses like this. But I ended up adjusting it, I think, a bit further upwards, so it's a little bit greater than a 45 degree incline in order to really target and isolate my upper chest, because of course our end goal is to target the entire chest in a given workout in order to get the most out of our sessions. So attempting to use a very slow and steady pace in these exercises. Many of the sets were of course cut out. I'm not going to show you guys 5 sets of the same type of exercises. You run out of angles and make things really boring the majority of the time. So what I'm showing you here is the basis of each movement, trying to show you in real time speed, and then going through at a different angle to give newbie lifters a secondary opinion or idea of how to perform a movement. So some of these sets are sped up. I'd say about 130 times to 2 times the normal speed from every few sets. But it's important to do what I just did there, to not necessarily flex, but to keep blood flushed into your muscles. And that's something I don't necessarily do on camera all of the time, but to constantly be squeezing your chest, keeping it so that it feels as though it's fatigued when you're going into your next set, making it that much more effective and difficult to break down and hit your reps. And you know, the reps in this workout, let me look at the program here. They fall between 12 and 15. The majority of the chest exercises fall between 12 and 15 repetitions, which is still what I would consider hypertrophy rep ranges. And speaking on the topic of how many reps do you do when you go in the gym, that's one of the biggest questions people will ask is, how many reps is the best for building muscle? And if you want my opinion, like any number of reps that you do in the gym, as long as you are constantly changing and altering these rep ranges and focusing on getting stronger, pushing forth aspects of progressive overload, any number of reps that you do in the gym, as long as you're getting stronger and better at those reps, it's going to be beneficial to muscle growth. Whether you're doing 1 to 5 repetitions, which of course is more like power training, like building power and getting stronger, strength building rep ranges, you're not necessarily going to build a humongous amount of muscle, whereas anywhere between like 6 and 14 rep ranges, which is kind of the focus of this type of a session, you'll be really putting so much more time under tension in terms of the musculature and bringing in a complete recruitment of the muscle fibers. Whereas you could also go in the gym, and this is something I love doing, and I almost did it at the end of this workout, but I wanted to stay as true to the program as possible for you guys to get the best idea possible, is I wanted to put 135 pounds on the bar of the bench press, and I wanted to go through and rep out 135 until I could reach 100 reps. And does that necessarily mean that you're going to be building a lot more muscle because you're doing more reps? No, but I'm a very big believer and advocate of flushing in as much blood and nutrients into the muscle as possible. And when you do that for your chest and you feel how engorged your chest gets, it can only be beneficial. And I've seen great results in it, even as a natural bodybuilder. It's something that I preach and it's something I believe in. And I always make my friends go through it with me and they have a fun time. Now, obviously, we're moving on to triceps. And let's see, this workout contained 3 total triceps movements. Skull crushers, probably my favorite triceps movement. Many people will jump to the cables beforehand and stuff. And I don't think, actually jump on the cables to begin with simply for pre-exhaust. They just aren't familiar with what triceps exercises are going to put the most tension onto your triceps for growth. And using free weights, bringing in stabilizer muscles, and using a full range of motion like this, it's such a more natural feeling than going into a fixed position that a cable rope or perhaps like a triceps dip machine might make you feel. And I save that type of stuff for last normally, because with triceps and biceps, they all are relatively smaller muscle groups. Not in my case because I got them big arms. But no, I'm just kidding. But you definitely want to focus on using a full range of motion. One mistake that I didn't necessarily make, it was a decision I made, was to use a double arm French press with one dumbbell, as you can see here. Whereas alternatively in the workout, I suggested using a single arm French press, but it really is something I go based on feel of anyways. And the user of this program, I would expect for them to be able to make the decision on their own of what exercises they want to perform, however many reps they want to perform. These are simply guidelines to follow. So again, the French press, another one of my favorite mass building exercises. And if done properly, you can get such a great contraction at the top. The stretch is important to not bounce and not drop the weight on yourself. But one thing I have difficulty on, and I try to practice, is to get as close to locking out as I can. Now, my biceps will normally get in the way by squeezing into my shoulders, and it makes it difficult for me to completely straighten my arm. And some people have to be careful with that. If you're going extremely heavy, to not lock out too extremely hard, because you may find a lot of elbow issues later on. I've never really had any elbow issues. I've gotten it from time to time from bench pressing and such. But as long as you're doing it instinctively, you're not constantly like thrashing yourself. With these cable extensions here, I don't even remember how much weight I had on, but it was enough to where I had complete control. I could have a slight pause at the bottom and squeeze the hell out of my tricep, and you have a pretty good angle of the triceps working with a complete range of motion, a slow controlled movement to where if you at any point during this movement said, "Zach, stop," I could stop with complete control with the rope and move on with precise precision. Man, I can't believe I'm talking for this long. It's been a long time since I've done a voiceover. Now, alternatively, one thing I changed from the last set, you can see my grip of the rope is now at the very top. Whereas before, I was gripping the rope at the very bottom, and as I brought the extension downward, my that's not proper English. As I extended downward, my elbows were coming back behind me. So there's so many different alternative ways to train things like your triceps, especially if you're dealing with things such as cables. Here we are at the end of the session. It wouldn't be a Zach Zeiler video talking about myself in the third person without some posing at the end to show you guys the result. Now, to mention it one last time, check the description if you're interested in finding out more about this transformation program. I'll do a few more videos here and there. It's not going to be a bunch in a row or anything like that, going through more of these sessions with you guys. But that's the end of the video, man. I appreciate you watching. If you made it this far listening to my raspy voice, I appreciate you. Love you all so much. This is Zach Zeiler. Until next time, peace out. Bye.